Grand Rising, you beautiful souls. Joella May here. Don't forget to like and subscribe down at the bottom. Today is Sunday. Today is the 11th, 12/11/22. This month is moving along quickly. I only have a couple more days in Pennsylvania to help my sister and the kids get the house ready. I was watching my 2022 recap, and I want to make this one in part 2, but my mental capacity is not quite there yet. I think it will round robin into it once I start explaining the past 24 hours. I just don't know if I can pick up exactly where I left off, if that makes sense. Okay. So we're working on 2022 recap, and we're in the middle of the last month of the year, so there's a little bit of new stuff with recapping the rest of the year. I touched on I'm gonna see if I can do this without my glasses because my head still hurts. So I'm kind of go over the past 24 hours before I do the full recap. Right now I'm recovering from a migraine, which reminds me I was going to take the migraine headache medicine before I started this. Yes, I do that. I know but it is still one of my vices. We all have something, right? Who knows? You might drink, you might smoke cigarettes. I have a drink maybe once a month, once every 4 months or something. There was periods when I didn't have drinks for a year or so, but that's a whole nother thing. So I wish I didn't take it, but I did take it. Oh, I forgot how good, even when the tea is cold, how good it tastes. Peppermint tea. Yeah, it's one of my favorite teas to drink when I just don't feel right, but it's also one of my favorite teas to drink when I do feel good, because I just love that refreshment that it gives. And it does so many things for our body and everything. I think the main part of my headache right now is the pain behind the eyes under here. I think that's where it's still lingering the most right now. So, excuse me for not being 100%, but I felt that I needed to do this video now while I'm sitting in my car, I guess because it's easier for me to talk than trying to draw. And going through the past 24 hours and everything was a very strong learning experience for me, so I wanted to share it, and I wanted to finish up my recap because I didn't get to the very, very end, so I didn't watch like the last 5 minutes of it or something before starting this, because I know my sister will be home from work soon, and then we can go to the store so I can get stuff to make soup to feel better. I think that's my biggest point right now, is replenishing my body with the proper food, and that's why I'm just doing the tea and this little baby burp stick coming up. The pain in the chest is not in there while I'm drinking the tea, so I'm happy about that. I did eat a baby tomato. Alright, but they were on the counter, so I just grabbed one when I was walking back to my car, and that hurt a little going down the chest. So that's the first solid food I put in my system since I did my whole purge last night. So if you've watched my videos before, sometimes my words and letters will combine together, so please don't hold me for my improper pronunciations, because they don't always come out perfectly. I noticed that when I was watching a couple of my videos, the way the words came out, like sometimes I would say two parts of I would say one part of two words together, like one word. I did that in one of the last videos. Because I don't do any edits or anything. I just talk and then I post. If you've watched any of my videos, you would know that. I used to say that all the time in every video when I first started doing YouTube. I don't say it as much often now. Yeah. Anyway. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about the tea and the burp because I'm feeling the burp. This is whenever I have an empty stomach, I drink a little bit, then air comes up. Normal. Right? Should be normal. I don't know. Me, it's normal. Anyway, so the past 24 hours, I went through this. Let's see. I want to back up a little bit more because I had a very interesting day too. If I could recollect all of it, I'm not really sure. Okay, so yesterday I was working on the floor, scrubbing the floor and this and that, and then I noticed that I overshared a little bit with my niece. Like, I have this tendency to talk a lot, over explain myself. That's why I did give her video talk or whatever. Because I can just explain things forever, and sometimes she's 5, I go over her head and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel away because I'm trying to explain something. But then I was saying to my other niece, who's like 14, and I was like, I kind of like have diarrhea of the mouth is what I've been noticing through my journey this past year. Is one of the things that my first and second husband really didn't like. As I would overtalk, I would overshare. And my son says, Mom, you over-explained everything. I grew up too fast because you explained too much. And I was like, and so, through my more recent journey this past year, I've been really trying to be more aware of how I speak, because a lot of people don't, because most people only catch like 10% of what you're actually saying. So, and then if I overshare something, they only hear the same thing 1,000 times. They don't hear the other stuff. Anyway, something like that. So, I know, I'm like fidgeting because I'm hungry. I'm not quite ready to drive it. So the past 24 hours, I went through this very strong purge. I was up all night. I woke up at 1:44, I think is when my phone said. And I was like, oh, I don't feel right. Okay. Oh, I'm going to purge. Okay. Let's go do this. So I went outside and I went to the what do you call it? The outdoor sewer thingy with the grill. I went over there and purged over there. But what was weird was I puked my whole day. Like, normally when I purge, it'll just be a little bile, be a thing, and would end. But the past 3 or 4 days, I've been going through a large emotional surge. So, because a few days ago, I lost my manicure kit. Okay. But it was very special to me. It's like Linus's blanket to me. I use it every single day. As being a massage therapist, I'm always cleaning, cutting my cuticles, trying to keep everything smooth, my nails properly shaped. When I work a lot, I'll end up with jagged nails by the end of the shift, so I want to, clean them up or anything and stuff. And so then when I lost it the next day, I got really upset, and I had a major emotional attachment to it because my second husband helped me pick it out. And that was at that point in time in my life where I was giving all of myself to him and and he's like, and it was expensive, and I was frustrated because it was expensive because all I wanted was the angle clippers, and he's like, no, you deserve it, it's okay, spend the money. And I'm like, And then we got my tweezers, so my tweezers fit in the thing, and because the tweezers that came with the kit weren't worth anything. And so the kit, we pieced it together with everything, so it was a lot to me emotionally. And I like cried the entire day about it. And then the next day I woke up and my sunglasses were broken. So I was like, wow, okay, universe, what are you trying to tell me? I need everything new, or okay, I need to start over? Like, what is this? And I didn't get it. And I was trying to get it, and I was trying to understand it. And then I was like, okay, I let that go. But then later that evening, I was going to the store with my nieces, and my younger niece asked me about my manicure kit, and I lost it emotionally again. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't deal. It was, it was too fresh of a trigger. And so it started this emotional downward spiral. I kept watching myself do all these things. I felt like I was outside of myself. Like I was running in a loop. Literally like I was watching a TV show. I really didn't feel like I was in my own body. I felt like I was outside myself, watching myself do. And it was weird. And then we get back to the house and everything. The girls go inside. And I do my little routine. And this was the cool part. This was interesting. Well, got back and everything. And I chatted with my sister. She's going to take her brain break. And I'm like, brain break? That sounds like a good idea. I feel like I'm too much of an emotional spiral right now, so I'll go lie down too. So it took me a while. I was chilling in my car, before I could fall asleep and whatever. And then knock, knock, knock on my door. So I scream, ah! Because, scream, ah! Yeah. No, but it was more screechy when it happened, because it was like a on my window, and I'm just like freaking out, like what the fuck. But excuse me, yeah, this is why I say not friendly for kids, because I don't censor myself, and if something slips out, anyway. So I'm like, and then I had to remember, and then he's like, hi, it's me again, and I'm like, okay, fine, breathe, comfort, level, bubble, structure, person, interaction. All right, let's do this. Can we do this? So this particular person was knocking on my window, right? He came up a few days prior, I think like the first or second day I was here or something, and Uber dropped him off at wrong house. And his phone was dead. And yeah, and it was like a 2 a.m. thing. And but this time he didn't knock this late. It was probably about 9ish, which was a respectable time, thankfully. That was funny. But yeah, so he was coming by this time to thank me because I was his angel for helping him to get home, because I was helping him find his address, because his phone died, and this and that. Because when he first knocked on my car at 2 a.m, I kind of freaked out a little bit. And I screamed, ah! Like I did before. So, and I was like, when he first knocked on my door, I was like, gas station's over there. And then he disappeared into the darkness. And then he came back 20 minutes later, knock, knock, knock again. And I was like, all right, fine. What do you need help with? He's like, my phone died. I'm like, okay. So I cracked my window. He's like, please, I can't. I'm like, can you hear me? He's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, where are you going? What's your address? So that's why he came by last night to thank me so he could get home, because he was all turned around when the Uber dropped him off at the wrong house and stuff. And he's not from here. He's not even from this country. He had an accent. It almost sounded Australian, but I think he said he was from Wales. So that was interesting. Definitely how universe puts, certain particular conversations in life, right? Tea on empty stomach. Anyway, so like, you see, I have my screen. So last night, I don't know if it'll hold on the show. And he came by. Eventually, I opened the screen, right? This still has screen, window. Then I crack window down and the combo, right? So he put his hand up to screen, so I put up hand up to screen when we said goodbye. And yeah, and it was so cool because, you know, he was being all proper and stuff, and so it was kind of neat having that conversation last night. I think we chatted for about 45 minutes or so. I don't know. And he was talking about how much of it was a privilege to meet me and talk to me. And I was like, thank you. Yes, it is. Because I don't socialize. I don't go out. I don't talk to people. That's not my thing. Yeah. So it was interesting. We both gave us pieces of each other's lives in different ways. So that was pleasant. Never asked each other our names, so I don't know what his name is. He doesn't know what my name is. Yeah. And he asked me when I was leaving. I said Tuesday, so we'll see if he comes by again. If he does and we exchange names, I will let you know. It was interesting. Yeah, because the first night he came by, I didn't really hear his accent because I think he was drunk and disoriented or whatever. I don't know. We didn't talk much the first time. It was just kind of like, give me your address. Where's? I was like, okay, and I was like, 4 houses that way across the street. And he found his house, and I was like, yes. Because he's like, is there anything I can do for you to thank you? And I was like, no, just get a good night's sleep. You'll be good. I'm fine. And then last night it was funny because he got a coffee at the gas station when he was knocking the door, so he's offering me a cup of coffee. I was like, no, thank you. I don't really drink coffee. You enjoy it. You know, I was like, I got my drink here. I was like, you know, I don't buy water. I bring my water. I have my stainless bottles for water. You know, I have my filtration system at home and Kangen water. I don't like drinking any other. You know, and if it's in the stainless, I know that it won't get contaminated by plastic bottles. So yeah, that's why I build up my stainless collection. So I have them. This one's my universal bottle that I use for coffee, tea, juice, or whatever. But all the other bottles, like I have 2 of these and a bunch more, hard to reach. They're all down here. You know, I still have a couple plastic ones that I use until I get enough of these because I want to have like 50 so I can like fill my cooler with them, you know. Anyway, enough of that tangent. Yes. But yeah, that's how I live my life. I like to have my reusable containers. I don't like adding extra waste to our planet. And that was actually one of the conversations we were having because he was like, that's really cool, you know? Because I was like, yeah, I travel, I live in my car out of choice. And he's like, really? You know, I was like, yeah, you know, I like to be able to see things, experience things, have better perspective on things. You know, I think we live too conformed into our one single structure, single home lifestyle. You know, it's not for everyone, but, you know, I love it. You know, I love having my home base, you know, because I love to garden and be able to have that. Anyway, so that's all part of my journey, is being able to explain that and how you can bring everything full circle when you figure out how to plan and structure your life. You know, and it's not like you have to put your list and you don't want to make it a mile long. And that's one of the biggest things. Learning experiences that I've been going through and how to figure out how to make those temporary lists, the long list, the short list, the daily list, the weekly list, the monthly list. It all takes these moments, right? Like I said, next year I said in my first one, I hadn't said it yet in this one because this is part 2 of 1, that next summer I want to go for 3 or 4 months, you know. This summer I went for a month and a half. And next summer I want to take my son with me. So there's a lot more coordination planning with that and how to do things. And yeah, I don't remember in part 1 if at the end I talked about the readjustment when coming home. I think that was about the part 2 that I really wanted to get into. Because I know I talked about the beauty of the bread and the kneading of the dough and the braiding and giving yourself your own energy in life. I used a couple of analogies like that in part 1 of this video. So you can see. So, through my journey of 2022, coming home from my 1.5-month road trip, it was a huge readjustment for me to be home. First, I was drive lagged and, I slept for like a couple weeks, and worked as much as I could to get the bills paid, and then I slept. And for a mad minute, because cycles on the road, I talked about that in part 1, I believe. I was watching that earlier before I started this video and stuff, because we just had the full moon, Gemini, the last full moon of the year. I think it was a week to today, last Sunday or Thursday, I don't remember. Somewhere in there. I'd have to look at dates. I don't keep track of the written stuff. I just go by reminders. I'll set things in my calendar that'll remind me of something. I'll be like, okay, oh, I know it's coming now. Or I've already felt the energy, and then I'll go and check, is this the time? And I'll be like, yep. Because I like to do things more instinctually. But to a point, you still have to plan. So it's interesting. And with one of the biggest things right now is because, my cup isn't full. I'm not fully healed. I'm not overflowing. So it's a little harder for me to be spontaneous. I still have some of that spontaneity in me, but not as much as I used to in the past. I'm getting it back. I'm working towards that. So by next year, I'll be fully replenished, which is only in a few weeks, but I have a lot. I have it planned out in my head. I've touched on it here and there. When I get home is when I'll go more in depth into it, because right now my focus is my sister and her family. While I'm here for a few more days, and then the travel ride home, and then my family, me and my son. So it's interesting how I can break it down, and how I can understand the breakdown on a new level, and how I'm grateful that I can do this for myself, because I've noticed most people never even think about doing for themselves the way I talk about. That's why in the first video I said that a lot of people look at me as sacrificing, but I'm not sacrificing. I'm reevaluating, and I'm putting things on a new perspective level to where I'm first and my son is with me. In the past, my second husband was first, and then it was me and my son. So it's a whole new level this year of understanding, and how to go about that, and how to put that new perspective in my life, and still the letting go of him, because he still has some of my things, I still have some of his things, but I've been slowly, continuously giving him some of his things every time I come up to Pennsylvania. So it's kind of like a shedding of layers each time I give him some of his stuff. And it helps, because I don't know, if I did it all at once, I don't know if I can handle it. It's whatever my car can hold, I'm not trying to break myself doing one thing or the other. So there's that, in that perspective. So that means of communication is very confusing. Because some moments it can be very casual and it can feel like the old days, but then switch it out and it's not like that. And it's weird. It's hard for me to fully correlate that into a comfortable understanding. Correlate that into a comfortable understanding. It's like I was talking to dude last night, when we were talking about lists or goals, and I said, my list is as long as the sky. He was like, that's really beautiful. I was like, yeah. And he's like, so it can be as long or as short as... I was like, yeah. I'm supposed to breathe that out through my nose. I'm still working on the whole throat thing from the purge last night. I love that so much. They wanted to put a little salt in my lungs. Salty air in my lungs! Oh, I missed it so much. I can't even describe. I don't know how to describe that feeling of missing ocean air other than just saying it. I mean, I also I miss the mango and avocados from my grandmother's yard when I was a kid too. That's one of the things I loved about working at the farm when I was in Miami. It was all the mango grows and avocado grows they had on the farm, so I could walk through it. It reminded me of home when I was a kid, kind of thing. I loved that. I miss that a lot. Definitely. Yeah, I would love to have my own farm in Miami again. I would love to be back in Miami again with my own farm. Yes, that is definitely a goal in life. I don't know if it's going to be in my first year's goal or if it's going to be in my 5-year goal. That's something that I'll be planning out in the next set once I get home. Because right now I'm still finishing out this cycle of helping my sister and the kids. I got about 3 more days. And then I gotta get home and work on my life. So, yeah. It's interesting. The giving and receiving of the way of being and how to do. Because I can only do so much for others without it hurting myself. As hence, perfect example, my purge last night. Was I ready to come up here and deal with all those emotional issues with my second husband and all of that, and losing things and breaking things? And it's just like, I really would have preferred to be at home going through situations, but it's like I made the commitment and I wanna be there, but I gave myself a time frame, so I'm not going to go past that time frame. Unfortunately, my body had a smaller time frame than my committed time frame, but that's okay because it'll still get done. So, let's see. We're in December 11th. That's up-to-date recap. We're on 30 minutes going. It's a little bit long, but I am doing a full recap. So, for the next 20 minutes, we'll talk about the earlier parts of the year. Let's see. November was an interesting month. That was my son's birthday was in November. We just had our personal time. That was nice. Can't recall too much in per se, other than working and traveling and doing some remodeling and cleaning at home. I know I have updates of that in my Facebook. October was my birthday month, so that was a lot of cleansing. It was also our anniversary month, so that was a lot of purging and emotional release. September, that was right before fall, trying to get ready for the colder weather. I think I did a little traveling. I think it was the last time I went down to Miami, so I got to get a little extra warm weather. And believe, in recovering, because I came back from my road trip in August, in the middle of August. My road trip, that was more than, I don't even know how to put it all down. It's probably going to take me a good 2 years, 3 years to put it all together. Was one of my, for social media, because one of my biggest issues during my road trip was my memory on my phone. I was grateful, so grateful, that an amazing friend of mine that I met when I was in Vegas gave me a computer so I could photo dump and be able to take pictures throughout the rest of my trip. But I've continuously to photo dump into that computer, which is a terabyte, for, the past 10, let's see. I started my road trip in May, June, July, somewhere in there. I don't remember. I'd have to look at dates. So it's July, August. Yeah, because it was a month and a half. So it's July, August. June, July, August. And as I went to an event in Las Vegas, hosted by Aubrey Marcus. It was truly amazing. I wanted to make out to the next one in October, but the universe said we have other plans, and I was like, okay, well, then we do this. Fine, I follow your plans. How does that play out? And he's like, well, you still have all these things you need to take care of before you run off and do that. And I was like, okay, so next summer I will make more happen. Yeah, we'll do it that way. I'm like, okay, thank you, universe. Let's finish out the process of this year. So that's kind of how that went. But in that month and a half, I probably went through 7 different states, I think, because I went from North Carolina to Vegas, and I think there's like 3 or 4 states in between. And then I went from Vegas to California, right? And then I went from California to Arizona, yeah. And then I went from Arizona back to North Carolina. But since I was in Arizona that time, I came back through the way of New Mexico and all of that. So it was, I went in a loop. It was a very interesting loop. Because like North Carolina's over here, Vegas is kind of over here, and then California and like Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, and then back home. So I went all the way like that. Well, it was pretty neat. I really enjoyed myself. I never felt like I spent enough time in one place, because there was just so much to do. Everything, the culture, each city and state were totally different from another one. So I can't wait to get back on the road. Going through the desert was like such a euphoric experience for me. I remembered it back when I was 9 and how happy it made me, and I just really want to get back to that. But yeah, I need to build up my social skills a bit more before I start traveling again, so I can have a more beneficial traveling experience, meeting people and going and experiencing new things. because that last road trip, was my first time out on my own. So I was like really sketched out here and there, and because I slept in my car majority of my trip for the month and a half. So I got really used to being in my little car space, and doing my thing in here. So then, it's like my second bedroom, kind of. I mean, and I'm relatively short enough that I can lay out with my seat flat and be relatively straight. It does suck that my feet pivot down a little bit, so I'll bring them up on the steering wheel to balance out the blood flow and stuff at different times. I do have an air mattress for the back, but it's a little more work, and I have some presents from my sister and my niece in my car that I want to give them when we're done remodeling, so working towards all that. Yeah, definitely headache medicine is kicking in. I feel the migraine leaving. It's like still kind of here a little bit, but I've been working on getting rid of it since 10 o'clock this morning. So, and it's like almost 4 in the afternoon now, I believe. I'm not really sure, but yeah. Oh, that was my hand. I wanted my back to crack. Yeah, my shoulders are still a bit on the tight side. That's normal when purging, because your whole body, when you throw up, kind of with the convulsing, it's like, what do you call that? When your body does things involuntarily and you're working muscles that you don't normally work. Yeah, I definitely feel that way right now. So, going through that relaxation healing process. Definitely I'm gonna need to get some food here soon. So I probably should go ahead and say, have an amazing grand rising, you beautiful souls. And I will see you again soon. Remember, I love you. And I love me. And you love you. And I'll take care of me. And you take care of you. And we'll be good. Yeah. Mwah.